Kunal, thanks for joining me. Rather than introduce this myself, I'll let you introduce this. Can you explain what exactly happened for you?
So I am opening new clinics in the local area. So it's an area where I've grown up, lived my whole life, and I've grown up. And I'm opening a number of Love Teeth dental practices. I've had one here since 2014, and this year we decided to open 5 others in the same area. So we've just had our launch event. So the practice has had a launch party on the Friday, and a few celebrities have come. And now Monday is the first day that we're open. It's now, what time was it in the day? It was around 4:30 p.m.
Right.
There's broad daylight. At the back of the Love Teeth Sutton, there is a dead end car park. So next to Love Teeth Sutton, there's a nail salon, then Nando's, ZZ's, etc., etc. So there's a row of restaurants, and there's a back alleyway where you get a number of, Uber collection drivers, delivery drivers coming down the back, and it's a dead end. So it's a private car park. So I'm at the back of the practice. My contractors are still doing bits and bobs on the, because they're still finishing off bits and bobs. We've still got a skip there. So I'm at the back, and there's another 4 builders, contractors with me. I'm there speaking to them about the back door, and all of a sudden one of them comes up to me and says, "Kunal, go to your car. There's a kid there with a hood on near your car," and he just got out of another car. So it's because it's a dead end alleyway. When a car comes in, it is a bit suspicious what's going on. So my car was parked behind a bit of a blind spot, and there's a silver Golf that's turning around in this alleyway, and one of my builders has seen somebody get out this car with a hood on and go towards my car. So first thing that comes into my mind is, I'm Tom Cruise. I'm an action man, but that little bugger's gonna get my laptop out the car and break in. And usually in this area we do have local kids that mess about. We've never had anything serious, but local kids. So I'm thinking it's just some local kids, and I'll just scare them away. As I start going back towards my car, let's call it the getaway car, the silver Golf, beeps its horn to alert whoever was outside of their car near my car to get back into their car. So as I see this person getting into their car, I start running a bit faster to stop. So, and I think this is when I think I'm Tom Cruise, and I don't realise I'm really not. I stop the car with my hands on the bonnet, and then I look in, and there's 4 grown men, balaclavas, ski masks, and I'm thinking, oh, this is a bit strange. All of a sudden, they fling open their doors, they go, "Oi," and they start chasing me. So instinct is, okay, I may have just annoyed them, I've stopped them in the act, they're annoyed, they want to have a fight. I'm thinking, I've got 4 builders there, I'm safe. So I turn around, I run back towards my builders, I do a Tom Cruise jump over the bonnet of a car, in between a skip and a car, and I'm thinking, no way anyone can get through that gap, I'm small, I'll go through it. Little do I know, this guy's huge, and he's literally just stepped over the bonnet of this car and he's still coming for me. He pushes me to the back of the building, and I'm not thinking what he wants. He's punching me in the face, I'm bleeding, he's got my nose is bleeding quite heavily, I'm falling to the floor, and he's still hitting me, and I'm thinking, what does this guy want? All of a sudden I hear him say, "Give me your effing watch, you packy," right? And I'm like, oh, he wants my watch. As I'm taking my watch off, I see this big knife in the corner of my eye, and I'm thinking, oh wow. Luckily enough, I've literally handed my watch over, I feel this arm on my right shoulder, there's a knife in the corner of my eye, but he just turns around and goes off, and they leave as soon as they get the watch in their hand. They run back to the car, they get into the car drives off.
only because if you want to bring it that much out, what you finishing out, because the bottom part is going to be that.
Kunal, go to your car, man, because he's a guy with a coat, with a hood, and one went out into your car. No, wait. Oh, yeah.
I sort of now get up, start walking back towards where the car's driven off from, I'm thinking, where are my boys? I'm limping, my face is bleeding, I'm thinking, where is everyone? The builders come running back to me saying, where have you been stabbed? Where have you been stabbed? And I'm like, I don't think I have, I don't know, check. At that moment, they then I hear people saying guns, knives. So apparently they had, or on the CCTV footage, which I'll share with you, they had guns, they had machetes, and from the audio of the video, you can hear them say, have you got it? Have you got it? Yes, I've got it. So the police then show up.
You think this was...
Yeah.
You think this was planned, basically?
Yeah, so it's a bit strange. So I was a bit confused about what was actually going on at this time, because I've been in scruffles my life. When you're younger, I've been in a bit of issues, but they were persistent and they kept coming for me. So in my head I was thinking, and obviously they said my watch, so I'm thinking, okay, they just came for my watch at that moment in time. At that time when I jumped over the bonnet of the car, my nurse has come out the back of the building, seen these guys, seen the gun, she's closed the door, she's ran back into the building, she's screaming inside the building, get everyone out the building, saying, we're being robbed, everyone get out the front of the building, right? So the police turn up, they've called the police, they've said there's guns, so the police obviously turn up quite, they came after 10 minutes even then, okay, and it's the armed police, they come over. Now I know in my head, I'm feeling okay, I've got a broken nose, I'm bleeding, but I'm feeling okay, I'm limping. I know I've got duty still to my team, I don't want to scare them, it's a new clinic, I don't want them to worry. So I'm playing it cool, as we do, men. I'm playing it cool, I'm okay. My wife gets called, she comes straight from the school pickup, and I show the police the video. They look at the video and it's as if they know of these group of people. Okay, and I'm like,
right,
okay. And they're like, did you anything else? And then they're calling it in, and then they leave. And that was more or less the end of it. They said, we suggest you go to the hospital. They didn't take me to hospital, they didn't do anything. They suggested I went. I went, sure. I went that evening. I waited 6 hours in A&E, and then I walked out because I had patients in the morning. I wasn't getting anywhere, I felt okay, so I left after waiting 6 hours or so. And then detectives come back 5 days later to my house. They ring on the doorbell, they come in without an appointment. They said, first thing we want to say is really sorry. And I said, why? And they said, we didn't do our job properly. They go, we didn't get your phone number down correctly. That's why we haven't been over sooner. And unfortunately, they forgot to take any forensics at the scene of the crime on the day.
Really?
And I went, oh. They said, do you still have the clothes that you were wearing? I said, well, no, they're washed, right? It's 5 days later, they've been washed. I've washed. So unfortunately, the police didn't manage to do their jobs correctly. And now, actually, about 4 weeks after that, I get a letter in the post saying the case has been closed. because lack of forensics taken at the scene, and the guys on CCTV were wearing balaclavas. So even if they were found, because I think they do suspect a gang, even if they did find them, they probably would get away with it because there's no forensics evidence. So I went, that's great. Then they say, and this is 5 days after, my wife's at home, she's pregnant, as you know, and they're speaking to me about what has happened. I said, what is this? What's happened? They said, this is organised crime. They go, this isn't normal general criminals, this is targeted, and actually you're actually quite lucky. And I said, lucky? Okay, why is that? And they said the motive of these gangs is usually to put a tracker on the car, and at some stage kidnap you, take you to your home, and ransack your house with your family and do that. So what has happened on that day, you've actually disturbed them while they were placing the tracker on your car. I went, okay.
Oh God, that's what.
They then don't reassure me by saying, this is obviously you've been targeted, there'll be other gangs like this that could potentially be targeting you, so just be vigilant. I went, okay, great, vigilant. So I said, what can I do to protect myself? Because I hear, a few people get these dogs that are trained, protected dogs. You can buy them, they're already trained, or bodyguard. And I said, what about something like this? And they said, that's good, that's a deterrent for, low-end criminals, the local. But for organised criminals, that's no deterrent whatsoever. To be fair, they'll kill the dog, or they'll pull out a gun like they did for you, and no bodyguard is going to protect you. So they give me a few tips on what to do within the house in case it does happen. But obviously this left me very nervous, especially that same day. And
Of course, yeah.
so then I had to look at myself, and I thought, why has this happened to me? The police have now labelled me as a celebrity in the local area, which I did say I don't want to be on that list, because according to the police, it doesn't give me any speed alert response time or anything. It's just a list of them. And I was like, well, I don't want that list getting anywhere, but nothing I can do about it. So I decided that day that it was something that I thought would never happen to me, because I've grown up in the area. I have a really good reputation in the area as a community-led guy. I do a lot of charity work. My family have grown up, everyone knows my wife, me, we thought this wouldn't happen. I thought I was untouchable, to be honest, especially where the clinics were. I didn't think, but it gave me a reality check that what I did to create a brand was, and it was all part of a plan where I wanted Love Teeth to be a popular brand. For me, it was all about that.
Of course, yeah.
And dentistry was always related to the dentist, who was the clinician. So we started the whole project with Dr. KP as being, the lead. And then we wanted to hit all target audiences. So Lucy was my wife, glamorous. I had 2 Lamborghinis. It was all, our lives were in the open for everyone to see. I was a family guy. And it did sort of work. There was part of my mind thinking, this has got to end now. It has to be about Love Teeth, not so much me. And I guess this was the point which sort of made me realise, okay, this is it. And there's a reason why it is sometimes good to be hidden, right, in life. So
Sorry to interrupt. You mentioned in our conversations, you mentioned that you feel like dentists are being targeted. What gives you that impression?
I think because I've heard other colleagues, it has happened to a couple of dentists I know in the industry, and it's a target of watches, because according to what I hear is that dentists are known to have nice things. We the type of living that we learn, we seem to be fond of watches, many of us. A few days after the mugging, I didn't want to let I didn't want it to sort of stop what I was doing in life. I still had my duties to go to certain events. So I went to an event. It was actually hosted by Invisalign. It was like a dinner event with the top providers, and I was sat there at that dinner with my broken nose, now wearing an Apple watch, I'm looking around the room though, but more or less every 90% of that room was wearing a a watch of thousands of pounds worth of value. And I was just thinking, we just leave ourselves exposed, because if we are an easier target, because you just book an appointment with a dentist, know that they're going to be at a certain location quite easily, and track us. And I just think that awareness needs to be there now, because it was clearly a target for my watch and maybe more. The watch was an expensive watch, so they clearly had been watching me, or been informed that I wear this watch of quite high value. So my feelings were I had to get rid of everything I owned. So the very next day after the mugging, both Lamborghinis were sold. The very next day, they got sold off my drive. They were taken. Watch collection sold, and it sort of gave me a reality check that I had these things as my little personal trophies for what I've done in life. But my wife's pregnant. I've got kids, and I just had to sort of end that whole. I didn't want any attracting. Clearly, there's nothing that we can do to protect ourselves. So it's just.
Well, I mean, that's the question, Kunal. What would you recommend to other dentists now?
Okay.
Because do you recommend they do the same thing and sell all their watches and their cars, or is there anything they can do?
I mean, I made that decision, and to be fair to me, like, it was tough, but there was a sense of relief once it was all gone. Like, it was like a burden was lifted off my shoulders. I thought these things identified me. They don't. So, everyone has to do, and there's some people that say to me, you shouldn't have to do that. We work hard for our money. We shouldn't have to do it. So I don't suggest everyone does what I do, but what I do suggest is that we're just a bit more vigilant. Don't, like what I do, if I'm going anywhere, if I only wear nice things now if I'm getting literally doorstep to doorstep dropped off, especially if I'm going to one of my meals in central London, which is a high target area. So if the Uber's going to drop me right outside, then I'll wear something like a nice watch, because I've kept one. But other than that, no. My advice would be, yes, it might be right to be hidden, like what my parents always told me to do. It's a shame, but I think everyone has to take their own circumstances and see. I felt as if I had to make a life change in that sense. But yeah, I think dentistry needs some sort of awareness out there. I don't think we realise that watches are a target. It's in music these days. Serial numbers. There's literally serial numbers that are being rapped about in music. So there's a lot more awareness. I mean, none of my staff even knew I had a nice watch. They didn't know what a Patek was. And I didn't think people knew what Patek was, but clearly, these organised criminals do know, and it's so easy to move objects like watches other than cars and things like that.
Absolutely. Well, Kunal, thank you for talking to us. It sounds like an absolutely harrowing experience, and you're right, it's not something that anybody should have to go through or even consider. But please do keep in touch and let us know that you're keeping well.
Yeah,
going forward.
and the last piece of advice I think I can give is that because it's quite easy for criminals to target dentists because they can book an appointment with us and know we're at sites, I think just be a bit vigilant when going and leaving work. Like we have a rule now across all sites, nobody leaves alone. So there's always 2 people closing up every evening at all the sites. And just be a bit more vigilant. You never know. I'm not saying it's going to happen to anyone, but it is in dentistry. We are targets clearly, and that's what the police also said. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay, Kunal. Thank you for your time, and we really appreciate you sharing your story.
No worries. Thank you.